Good afternoon, everybody. In my English 1301 course, this is Dr. Myra Tatum Salcedo, and we have our first paper coming up. It's called The Literacy Narrative. Narrative is a type of storytelling, so this paper will be about you and your journey through literacy when you learn to read and write, if there was a pivotal moment when you really knew you understood reading or writing. It could be there was a book in your life that changed your life. Maybe you didn't read books at all until you happened upon The Fault in Our Stars, Divergent, Hunger Games, Harry Potter for some people, uh, a chapter book or something that got you interested in reading more. And hopefully everybody reads some a little bit every day, kind of going away. And good readers make good writers. So for paper one, uh, the most I could extend the first draft to would be February 14th, Valentine's Day. It would be better if you could get it in earlier, like the 13th, then you have Valentine's Day off. Uh, Before you do that paper, I'm finding out people are having trouble finding the prompt. This means to me that people are having trouble navigating the course, and that is uh, serious. You need to be able to find Unit 4. So if you go to the home page in Canvas, the top upper left hand side of the page says Home. You could click on that, and modules is one of the things you can click on there. Or anytime you're in Canvas, anywhere in Canvas, on the left-hand side of the page, there will be the link for modules. Click on that, scroll down to Unit 4, and that is the unit on literacy narratives. So the first thing you need to do, which should have been done already, I might give you a little breathing room, is to have read the Inkshed Life Without Language. It's literacy autobiographies written by people, how they learned to read and write, and why it was significant in their life and when it became significant. So there's Eva Hoffman, who came from Poland way back in the day when people actually, a teacher actually changed her name because she couldn't pronounce it. Um, and I can't imagine being in a new culture, not knowing the language, and then not even being given the dignity to be called by your name because somebody else could not pronounce it easily. It still happens, sad to say. So Eva Hoffman's journey is about English as a second language. If you're a bilingual student, you might relate to that. There's Frederick Douglass, his slave narrative, and how he learned to read and write when it was not legal and not permitted for slaves to read and become educated, because then they might realize they shouldn't be slaves and revolt and try to get out of their position that they were in. So there's Frederick Douglass, Eva Hoffman, and then Helen Keller, who was not born deaf and blind, but because of an illness became that and had to learn how to communicate without sight or sound. Imagine that. So there are three brief articles. They're they're brief, they're in your free online textbook, Reading About Writing. If you need help finding that, let me know, because you can quote any one of those people in your paper. It needs to be 3 to 5 pages, shoot for 4 pages, because by the end of the course, you need to have 20 pages amongst 4 different papers. So it's not one 20-page paper. It's different number of pages for certain papers. The first one is 3 to 5, your literacy narrative on how you became literate in a language, or culture. I have put samples of other student essays in there in Unit 4. Um, there's also a citation workshop that I have put in the course for extra credit on quizzes for Modern Language Association style, and that's how the paper needs to be written. Do not panic, but the first draft, the latest I will accept it is February 14th at midnight. Before midnight, I will not be up holding my breath and get up too early, folks. So, your first draft is a rough draft. It doesn't have to be perfect. I don't want a page and a half or an outline. I want you to get through 3 pages for the first draft. The way you do that is to follow the prompt. Introduce literacy, introduce where you're coming from, who you might have related to in the readings. You can quote people, but you have to include citations in a works cited page, which would be in addition to. That means if you have 2 pages and a works cited page, it's not a 3-page paper. Welcome to the university level in academia where page counts do not include uh, works cited pages. So it sounds like a lot, but I have also diverged by putting in other literacies and languages. For example, if you're a music person and you've learned to read music, that is a language in its own self. It's not just dots upon the page. What does it mean to read music? If you want to go that route, you need to show how it's a language in itself. Give examples of words, terms, uh, phrases, and what they mean. I let students write about sports, and this is the most difficult one to do because you have to prove that there's a language. Say you pick baseball. What kind of signs do you use to your teammates to let them know about a play, how to handle the next play? Uh, what are the different names for different movements in the game, strategies? You have to prove that you learn a whole other language and it's a whole other culture in and of itself. So that could be the most difficult paper to write. You have to prove, like maybe ballet or sports or something physical has its own language and its own culture and its own community of people and words. So a lot of people like to go with a book that changed their life. Put in a quote from that book, something from that book. Do not go to Ask Jeeves. Do not go to Brainy quotes. Use actual sources. Use reading about writing, quote from that. Don't go to the History Channel, um, A&E, any of that. Arts and entertainment. It's about entertainment. It's not academic. So be careful. Do not use random websites. You have textbooks in this course to refer to. There's a background to the readers, the authors in the textbook. You can quote anything from your textbooks, whether it's the composition handbook or reading about writing. So you need to get started on that paper because you need a first draft in the draft box to me by February 14th and a first draft in the peer workshop by February 14th. And like I said, these don't have to be perfect, polished drafts, but have an intermediate draft, which is better than just um, free writing, so that you will have peer reviews. Each student will need to review 2 people in the course and give feedback, offer ideas to make the paper better, say what you really liked in it, say what you feel might be missing. And then the final draft I'll give you feedback. Students will give you feedback. Final draft due February 19th. And then we've got some breathing room until the book club, February 26th, where you should be reading, um, the 1984 or The Long Walk right now for the book club that's due the 26th. So read a little bit every night. Put some time and serious effort into the readings and the writings in the course. And I hope I've explained to you what the first um, literacy narrative should be about. It's about you and when you became literate and accepted into a community of other learners in the same discipline. And by discipline, I mean genre or category. So, whether it's sports, music, or reading books, which is, the easiest to do. The other ones, you've got to do a little bit more work. And by the time you explain terms and show how what you engaged in uh, is a language in and of its own self, then you have made it. Do not give me a blow by blow timeline of this happened in kindergarten, this happened in first grade, and then this happened and that happened. Now I need to know where you came from, where you started, and a pivotal moment that really meant something to you. A moment, maybe if you were bilingual when you translated for somebody else who could not understand something, doesn't matter the language. Um, I had a student from India that spoke beautiful Spanish, so you never know. Uh, but try and keep these things in mind and just get going. And I will come back to you with more videos. This one's gone on long enough. I got to spool it up and get it to everybody now, and try to catch up with everybody's files. So thank you. Get going and get some words on paper. See you at the next video.